Okay, now we're ready to talk about our Works Cited page. When we were talking about in-text citations, I mentioned that we're going to use only the author's last name or the title of the article. However, you need to give more information about your source because your reader might want to go to that source and read the article himself or herself. Or in the case of an instructor, we might want to check that source and see how well you paraphrased your material or to see how exact your direct quotes are. So there's definitely a page in your paper where we can do that. As you are writing your paper and you are sprinkling your in-text citations throughout your paper, and that can be through any paragraph of your paper. The intro, the 3 body paragraphs, or the concluding paragraph. You can have in-text citations. The requirement is that you have at least one in each one of your 3 body paragraphs. You want to make sure you have in-text citations there because those 3 body paragraphs are dealing with your arguments. So you want to make sure that happens. But you can also have them in the intro and in the conclusion if it fits there appropriately. So once I read your paper and I see those in-text citations and they alert me, they kind of say to me, hey, Mrs. George, this was not my own material. I paraphrased it or I used a direct quote, and this author's last name is telling you, who wrote it, or the title of the article is letting you know where it appeared. In order for me to find out exactly how to reach this article, the last page of your paper is referred to as the Works Cited page. Now, for many of you, you may recall in high school, then it used to be called a bibliography page. We used to write footnotes in the body of our paper and then would have a bibliography page at the end. This is very similar to that. The only thing is now we're following MLA content or format, and we call it a Works Cited page. I want to tell you some basics about the Works Cited page. First of all, it is the last page of the paper. It has its own page. Even if there's just one source there, it still has its own page. Secondly, it receives a page number just like the other pages in your essay. Remember, when you write these essays, in the upper right-hand corner in a header, you should have your last name and the page number. And every time you hit enter as you're typing your work, the last name will automatically appear on your paper with the appropriate page number. So for example, the last paper we're going to write, the argumentative research paper, needs to be 3 to 5 pages in length. So we're going to assume that the paper that I wrote was 5 pages in length, and my Works Cited page is page number 6. So I do give the Works Cited page a number. So in the header, I type my last name in the right-hand corner, and the page number will appear. I must give this a title also, and my title is Works Cited. Not just work, it is works, even if there's only one source there. It's works. And notice it's cited, C-I-T-E-D, not cited. Don't say C-I-T-I-E-D. It's Works Cited. When you type this on your paper, you still use Times New Roman 12, the W's capitalized, the C's capitalized, and that's it. Nothing else is done. No bold, no underlining, nothing else is done. Once you have the title there, the heading and the title, then you are going to enter all of the sources that you used as in-text citations in your paper. So for the final paper, you need 3 to 5 sources at minimum. So you're going to have at least 3 sources listed there. When you put these sources there, you're going to be required to have the author, the name of the work. If it came from an internet site, what is the URL so I could find it? What is the date of publication? Sometimes, what volume is it? You need all this information there, and that is certainly in your textbook. However, there's a very, very easy way in which to do this. Once you have your sources, say you have 3 sources, you log onto your computer and you go to www.easybib.com. EASYBIB, all one word, .com. When you click there, a form is going to pop up and it's going to ask you to click. Is this a printed source, like an actual paper or book you have in hand, or is it from a website, from the internet? For most of us, we're going to click on website, and then all you need to do is type in the URL number, and if it's a very common one, they're going to fill in a lot of the material for you. If it's not a common one, they'll say, we can't find this particular article by using this URL. Then it will ask you, who's the author of the book? If there is none, you can't put one in, leave it blank. What's the title of the article? What's the date that it was published? Who's the publisher? Some of these questions you can answer and some you cannot. And then it will ask for the URL, the www. whatever. Once you type those in, you click submit, it writes up the entire entry for you. You don't have to worry about the order that it goes in. You don't have to worry about adding periods or commas. Now you have to spell the words correctly. You have to capitalize those letters that need capitalized, like the author's last name, the first word in each one of his names, and so forth. Those all need to be done properly. But it sets it up for you. All you do is copy it and paste it on your Works Cited page. That's all you have to do. So easybib.com is very, very easy to use. Once you do that and you have your sources, you might have to do some fooling around here to make sure that you're formatting the page properly. What you have to do is, first of all, do you notice that the first line of the item in this Works Cited page goes from margin to margin? But most of the time you're going to have some additional information. Notice that the second line is indented. And then if there's a third line, it goes immediately under the second line. This is referred to as a hanging indent. It's actually quite different from when we do it in a paragraph. When we write paragraphs in our papers, we indent the first line and then all the other lines of that paragraph go out to the margin. Well, it's the opposite here. We use a hanging indent. Then when you go to put in the material, copy and paste the material for your next source, comes out here to the margin, you copy and paste it. First line goes from margin to margin. All the subsequent lines are indented. Second line, then third line, fourth line goes right underneath the second line. Okay. So this is all typed in Times New Roman 12. You double space everything evenly. You don't have extra space between sources. I know you started a new source because you're going to come back out to the margin again. So there's no extra space between sources. It's all evenly double spaced. You use the hanging indent. Again, and if you use easybib.com, most of the time when they write it up for you and all you do is copy and paste it, they already have it as a hanging indent. Should they not, if that occurs and it doesn't happen, all you have to do is once you have all your entries in, highlight them all, and then on your computer hit Control-T. Control-T. And the computer will automatically do a hanging indent for all of your entries. I would wait till the end to do that if you don't have them already indented that way. So you just highlight everything. When you highlight everything, you might check, is everything in Times New Roman 12? Is everything double spaced? One other thing, you need to alphabetize the entries. If you're putting this in correctly, the first word that's going to be out here is the author's last name. If there's no author, the first word that's going to be out here is the first word of the title. So every beginning source is going to have either start with the author's last name or the first word of the title of the article. And you're just going to alphabetize it. All together, you don't separate them, you just go by alphabetical order. So this is the way it should appear. So when you are done, you want to make sure that you have it set up this way. You have your last name and the page number, the title. This is double spaced, it's alphabetized, you use a hanging indent, you use Times New Roman 12 everywhere in the paper. And to write those citations, to write that Works Cited, each entry, go to easybib.com. As I said, fill in the blanks, click submit, copy, paste it right on your Works Cited page. So that way, I will be able to go to your Works Cited page and I can find any of the sources that you used in your paper and I can look at them and read them if I like. You just want to make sure that these match now. Do not have extra sources on here. You have only the sources on here of those items that you used in the body of your paper. Okay? So if you used 4 different sources when you were writing your paper, you had 4 different kinds of in-text citations, then I should see only 4 sources on here. Okay? And if you use an in-text citation, make sure you have that material on the works cited. They should match. Now obviously from one source, maybe you're going to write 3 in-text citations from just one source. That's fine. I will see that source for those 3 in-text citations on your works cited page. Maybe from another source you only have 1 in-text citation from it. Fine. I will see that source here. But remember, the requirement for this final research paper is at least 3 to 5 sources, so I should see at least those. But don't have anything extra on there. If you haven't used it as an in-text citation, it should not appear on this works cited page. Again, as always, if you have any questions, just give me a call on my cell or send an email.